Once again, this is Behram on behalf of MT Educare presenting to you in English. Grammar is easy. And I keep repeating this again and again. Yes, my dear friends, grammar is easy. And what are we doing today? We are doing an amazing topic in grammar. Change the voice. Active voice to passive voice and vice versa. All right, let's have a look first at what I always say. What is a verb? Verb is equal to ash. Ash? Yes, action, state or having. Now, let's take a look at this sentence. Aisha teaches English. I have highlighted Aisha. I have highlighted English. Instead of Aisha, I can put she. Now, Aisha, English, she, noun or pronoun. Agreed? Okay. In any sentence, as you can see, the noun or the pronoun, my dear friends, is either before the verb or after the verb. It is never on the verb. Impossible. So, noun or the pronoun is either before the verb or after the verb. Now, my dear friends, if that noun or a pronoun in an assertive sentence is before the verb, that noun or pronoun is called the subject. And if it is after the verb, that noun or pronoun, just as you have English here, is called the object. So, before we move on, three important definitions. Verb is equal to ash. Subject is a noun or the pronoun before the verb, and object is a noun or the pronoun after the verb. Now, let's know our voices. Sentence for you, my dear friends. The ring was stolen. To know how to change from the active voice to the passive voice, we must first know whether the sentence in front of us is in the active voice or in the passive voice. The ring was stolen. Find the subject, as simple as that, the ring. Has the ring done any action in this sentence? Is subject the doer of any action? Not at all. In that case, this sentence is in the passive voice because subject is not the doer of the action. Now, let's take another sentence. Chorilal stole the ring. What else could the poor man do? Chorilal stole the ring. Subject of the sentence, Chorilal. Subject is the noun or the pronoun before the verb. Now tell me, my dear friends, is the subject in this sentence doing an action? Yes. Chorilal, the subject, has done the action of stealing the ring. Therefore, subject is the doer. This sentence is active. My dear friends, very, very simple. Subject is the doer, sentence is active. Subject is not the doer, sentence is passive. And for your exams, you only need to know two things. One, how to recognize if the sentence is an active or passive, which we have just seen. And two, how to change from active to passive and vice versa, which we are just going to see right now with this example. But before that, what are the four things that we need to change from the active voice to the passive voice or vice versa? The subject, the verb, the object and the tense. Sir, subject, verb, object we can understand. Why the tense? Let me explain this to you with an example. Rahul helps Tina. Change the voice. Now, the probable answers that we as teachers generally get. Tina was helped by Rahul. Maybe Tina is helped by Rahul. Maybe Tina will be helped by Rahul. In all, as you have seen, the subject and object have properly changed their places. Everything has been constant. The only one difference in all the three answers, my dear friends, is the tense. In the first sentence, Tina was helped. Second, Tina is helped. Third, Tina will be helped. So which one do you think is the correct answer? My dear friends, very simple. Have a look at the tense of the verb. Rahul helps Tina. The tense is the present tense. Therefore, there can be only one correct answer here, and that answer is Tina is helped by Rahul. See how important the tense becomes in Change the Voice. So, what are my steps? Which steps do I follow to change the voice? Very simple. 3 SSS. Simply simple steps, or what I always call as simple stupid steps. Let's have a look at them. Here they are. Step 1. Swap the doer and the non-doer. As you saw here, we swapped Rahul and Tina. But important, keep the tense constant. Step 2, verb becomes past participle, helps became helped. The past participle is that form of the verb which ends in en, ed, ne or t. And step 3, the preposition. This is when you're changing from active to passive, and believe me, the same steps are going to help you vice versa too. Now, sir, we understand this, but it becomes so confusing. For example, if my sentence was Rahul is helping Tina or Rahul has helped Tina in different tenses, sir, how do we keep the tense constant? That's what I said. I'm going to give you amazing shortcuts. And as we know, the only problem that happens is the problem of the tense. And I'm going to give you an amazing shortcut for that. I'm going to give you the active passive chant. Chant, active passive chant. Absolutely, my dear friends, here are my 3 steps for you. Right above me, the active passive chant, past participle by. Let's start. The active passive chant, my dear friends, is very simple. It tells you very easily that if the verb in the active is in a particular tense, which tense can you blindly put for that verb in the passive, and vice versa. So let's have a look. Here are the first 2 lines of the chant. Present tense active, am, is, are passive. Past tense inactive, was, were, and passive. Simple. I'm repeating. Present tense active, am, is, are passive. Past tense inactive, was, were, and passive. Here it is. Rahul helps Tina. Tina is helped. Am or is or are in the passive. And Rahul helped Tina. Tina was helped. Past tense inactive, was, were, and passive. We continue with the chant. Will, shall inactive, will, shall be passive. Have, has inactive, have, has been passive. Simple as that. Will, shall inactive, will, shall be passive. Here we are. Rahul will help Tina. Tina will be. And have or has inactive, Rahul has helped Tina. Have been or has been in passive. And continuing with the chant, present tense active, am, is, are passive. Past tense inactive, was, were, and passive. Will, shall inactive, will, shall be passive. Have, has inactive, have, has been passive. Had inactive, had been in passive. Will have inactive, will have been passive. Yes, my dear friends, had inactive, had been in passive, as you can clearly see. And will have inactive, will have been in passive. And continuing to the last 2 lines of the chant, am, is, are active, am, is, are being passive, was, were, inactive, was, were, being passive. Absolutely, my dear friends. Can you see Rahul is helping Tina? There is an is in the active, and you will have an is being in the passive. And if there was a was in the active, you have a was being in the passive. Clear? My dear friends, you only need to know this, and your work is done. Let me give you a simple example. Here we are. Friendship gives a special feeling. Swap the subject and the object. Friendship, special feeling. But keeping the tense constant, present tense active, am, is, are passive. And so here is my answer. Easy, my friends? Absolutely. Let's have a look at the next one. Krishna advised Kanti to read the Bhagavad Gita. Subject, Krishna. Object, Kanti. Can you see? The doer and the non-doer, swap them. And advised, past tense inactive, was, were in passive, and that's my answer. Kanti was advised by Krishna to read the Bhagavad Gita. Now, let me give you some extra hints. For example, right, if my sentence is imperative, the passive voice will always start with let. In the passive voice, I must not change that interrogative. I must keep the sentence with the question mark. Do you know the answer? Is the answer known to you? Sir, why is? Because do you know is the present tense active, am is our passive. Absolutely. Fantastic. Let's move on. Another, if it's a prepositional verb, for example, he spoke to the principal. He and the principal are going to swap places. Spoke, past tense in active, was, were in passive. But wait, the to is there. So the principal was spoken to by him. Correct. Let's move on from here and look at the next one. Yes, if there is a modal auxiliary, can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must, ought to, used to, need, dare. If any of the modal auxiliaries are present in the sentence, believe me, if they are there in the active, they come back in the passive, they may win the match may be won by them. Simple. All other things remain constant. And finally, if a sentence has two objects, for example, he gave me a watch, me and a watch. There are two objects here. Don't worry, you can have your passive with either of these objects. I was given a watch by him is right. A watch was given to me by him is also correct. In both the cases, as you can see, we have kept the tense constant. Past tense in active, was, were in passive. Do you remember, my dear friends? Let's quickly solve some sentences, but before that, let's check out passive to active. You must be thinking, sir, active to passive seems very, very easy. What about vice versa? No problems, my dear friends. Here we are. Let's take a sentence in the passive. The letter says that before that, let's check out passive to active. You must be thinking, sir, active to passive seems very, very easy. What about vice versa? No problems, my dear friends. Here we are. Let's take a sentence in the passive. The letter was written by Caro Wilson. How do I know this sentence is in the passive? Very, very simple. The letter is the subject and the subject is not doing any action. Now, we have to change this into the active voice. That means Caro Wilson has to start the sentence. Now, Caro Wilson comes on this side. The letter goes on that side. Fair enough. Now, in the active, present tense active, am is are passive, past tense and active, was, were and passive. And as you can see, in the passive, was is there. That means my active voice will have to have the past tense. Very simple. The past tense of was written is wrote. And so, here we are with the answer. Caro Wilson wrote the letter. A quick look at this topic again. Let's do some sentences. Here we are. And we are starting with the first sentence. The slamming of the doors had aroused mother. Very simple. Had aroused. Do we know the chant? Absolutely. Had in active, had been in passive. That's it. Mother had been aroused by the slamming of the doors. We all heard. Past tense in active, was, were in passive. Absolutely perfect. And here is the answer. A creaking in the attic was heard. The next one, he had published. Again we have the had in active, had been in passive. Here we are. A book had been published. The next one, she gave me values. Gave, past tense in active, was, were in passive. There we are. Values of my life were given to me by her. And finally, Harsh did not purchase a computer. I have purposely given you a negative sentence to end with so that we will know the same rules apply. Did not is in the past tense, and we know past tense in active, was, were in passive. Absolutely fantastic. A computer was not purchased by Harsh. So my dear friends, here we are, active to passive or passive to active. We are rocking. You only need to remember SVOT, subject, verb, object, tense. The tense remains constant, and for that, the active to passive or the passive to active chant, which we saw earlier on. Keep that chant, memorize, and you will never have a problem. So my dear friends, leaving you with this chant: present tense active, am, is, are passive, past tense in active, was, were in passive, and continuing that. This is Behram signing off for the day. Thank you very much. We are rocking in this topic. God bless you all.